Let me begin by seeking blessings of my gurus, late Dr. Sudhakar Marathe and Mrs. Marathe. They are always with me. Next, please. I have already done this part, so next, please. Today we are going to talk about speech. And as you know, language is primarily speech. Are you able to read the text there? No worries, I will speak. Okay, so language is primarily speech. So our today's topic is this. Whatever we do with our head and the parts of our throat and everything related to speech. Next, please. Now, before we go ahead and talk about the details of speech, let me make a caveat. Caveat means, let me make it clear right from the beginning that I am going to stick to just one particular variety of English. I am sure you know there are many varieties of English, right? Even in standard varieties, we have British English, then American English, right? Then Australian English, Canadian English. So out of many standard varieties of English, I am going to talk about just one, which is called RP, the standard British variety of English. Many people call it BBC English or King's English and Queen's English, but technical name is RP. So normally when you look up in a dictionary and when you click the first UK pronunciation, then it is RP. So all over the world, people generally stick to either RP or the second is GAE, that is General American English, the educated variety of English, right? So we will stick to RP for this particular session. But in the future, if you have any desire to go for American English or Australian, then you can do it on your own, not a problem. The differences are minor. 99% it is the same. The core English is the same. So what you learn today will be useful to you in any variety of English, right? Next, please. I don't know whether you are able to see this. On the left hand side there is a patient, and that patient is in a coma. And here, what is this? And what is it called? The first one is most of you are speaking the same way and they are different, right? Remember one thing, if you just take one lesson from this today's session, and that lesson is the moment you change a letter in English, the moment you change a sound in English, the moment you change the stress in English, the meaning changes. Whether it is a letter or a sound or a stress, the meaning changes, right? So here, for example, this word, the patient is in a coma. Can you speak? Coma. The patient is in a coma, not a comma. This is a punctuation mark, comma. Can you say comma? Coma. Right? So if you don't use your commas properly, your teacher may be in a coma. So please use your commas properly. Right? What's the lesson? The moment you change a letter or a sound or a stress, the meaning changes. Right? Do you know this word TEAR? For example, if I take this piece of paper, she is writing something on it. If I take it and if I TEAR it, if I tear it, then what will happen? There will be TEARS. from her eyes? Tears. So what is the spelling? The same. What is the difference? Pronunciation. The moment you change the sound, the meaning changes. So if I tear that page, there'll be tears in her eyes. Right? Bad and bed. Some people ask me, what are your bed habits? I want to slap them. Who the hell are you to ask me my bed habits? It should be bad. So when you say bad, it should sound bad. Right? So the moment you change, either the meaning, either the sound, or the letter, or even the word stress, right? The meaning changes. If I give you the word Content, Content, what is that word? Yes? A little louder. Is it content or content? Both. Which is which? Now, if I say content, what does it mean? If I say content, what does it mean?
Inner feeling of satisfaction.
Your satisfaction, right? You are happy. So I am content with what I have. I am content with what I have. So I am satisfied. And content means the things inside something. For example, that's a bottle, right? That's a bottle. What does it contain? What are the contents of that bottle? Water. What else? There's no whiskey or wine in it. Water. So water inside that container, that is contents. Okay. So content and content, same spelling, stress different, sound different, so meanings will change. Is that clear? And that's why the most important part in language study is listening. Hearing is not. Hearing is different from listening. Why? Because right now you hear the noise of this fan, but I'm sure you are not here for that. You are here to listen to me at least. Right? So listening is different from hearing. And in English language study, hearing is okay, but listening plays a vital role. What you can't listen, you can't produce and you can't learn. If you cannot distinguish between comma and comma, you cannot improve your language. You cannot own that word. And what you don't own, you cannot use. Right? For example, whose bag is that? Is it yours? Yeah, so he owns that bag. So he can use it. I don't own that, so I cannot use it. Right? So in language also, you need to own certain things, possess, ownership. So you own sounds, you own structures, you own the way of pronouncing, right? You have to own them, right? Next please. Let's very quickly try to speak these words, and I want you to tell your partners around you, how will you speak these words? Just speak. Okay. I hope you have spoken these words. What's the first word? The first word is In Sanskrit, we have a nice phrase, Pratham Grase Makshika. So the very first step is a problem here. The word is bury. Bury. Burial place, burial ground, burial ceremony, burial rituals. So bury. Now you might ask me, why bury? I want to speak like bury or bury. Who stops you? Who the hell can stop me? Right? But language is a product of society. Language is a product of society. Nobody creates it, it just happens. And people together, they decide to say certain things in certain ways. Right? For example, what is this? A mic. Right? Suppose I want to say a table. Is it possible? No, because most of you, everyone actually, says this particular thing, a mic. So I have to use that word mic. So you cannot create your own spelling, your own pronunciation, your own way of speaking. No, there is a standardized format. So we just have to stick to that. And if you do not know that, what can you do? You can look it up in a dictionary. And what dictionary do you need? What dictionary do you or should you use? If you are using any Gala Bala Mala, stop it. Because inside, for example, your school or college, it may be okay, but outside in the world, people use authentic material. So probably the second important lesson for the day. What was the first? Your takeaways?
No. I'm saying.
Yeah, anyone?
If you take away a word from the spelling, the meaning changes.
So the moment you change a letter or a sound or stress, the meaning changes. That was the first important takeaway for you. Second is use authentic material, standard material. Because as sir was saying, your output is always dependent on your input. So if your input is faulty, your output will definitely be faulty. It's like a computer. Your brain is a computer. Whatever goes in, that is going to go out. Right? So use authentic material. Everything is absolutely free. You have Cambridge Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, Longman, Macmillan, they all are absolutely free. If you just have a mobile with internet connection, you can access that. So when you go from your college, your academic organization to any corporate, then what is required? Standard, authentic material. There you cannot use your own pronunciation, right? Because as sir was saying, very nicely actually, the moment what sir said in Gujarati, I am trying to translate that. The moment you open your mouth to speak, people make judgments about you. Your background, your culture, your education, your etiquette, everything can be judged from what you speak. So inside the, in your comfort zone, it's okay in your school or college. But the moment you go out, people are going to listen to everything that you do. Everything. And your speech is also a behavior. So everything about your behavior becomes important. Right? So the first word is bury. Bury. And in English language study, I often tell my workshop participants, even in corporates, English language study is not a matter of intelligence. It is purely a matter of hard work. How do you remember certain things? If you want to remember something, what do you do? How do you remember anything? Your school, college examination answers, how do you remember them? How? What do you do? किसी भी चीज़ को याद करने के लिए आप क्या करते हैं? क्या? You read once and it's over. Remember forever. No, what do? You revise, you repeat certain things again, again. So exactly the same thing you have to do. You look up in a dictionary, you play the pronunciation, listen to it. Again, after some time you have to do it, otherwise you will forget. Our human brain is a wonderful machine, but it demands a lot of input. Right? So you have to revise again and again. Today, you know the word berry. After 5 days, you might forget that. Right? Second is content and content. Both are different. Content, stress on the second syllable, and content, stress on the first syllable. Different meanings. Third, sometimes students, they come to our place and they say, I'm worried about my career. I said, where is your carrier? Behind your vehicle there is a carrier, right, where you put your luggage. So I said, have you put some gold biscuits there? He said, no, I am worried about my future. So he is actually talking about career. Can you speak after me? Carrier. Carrier. Career. Carrier. Career. Right? Sounds are different, word stress is different, meanings are different. Right? Next please. It is days. A raised platform is days. In Gujarati sometimes people, they say dais. Dais par birajman mehman. No, it's not dais, days. Okay, remember that. The next is when you pay something somewhere, what do you get? A receipt. P is silent. You can ask me why. P is silent in this. You can ask me why. Because English is English. In English, there are no rules as such for most things. You just have to accept it as it is. For example, if I ask you, what is the pronunciation of a letter A in a word? The first letter of the English alphabet. How do you pronounce it in a word? Is my question clear? The first letter of the English alphabet. How do you pronounce it in a word? We can't say. It is impossible. Because if you have a word like ability, it is a. If it is able, then it is a. If it is bad, then it is a. And if it is all, then it is o. So the letter A does not have a fixed sound. And many letters are silent. What is the sound of a letter T in a word? You can't say. Because in a word like teacher, it is t. In a word like nature, it is ch. In a word like nation, it is sh. In a word like listen, silent. In Indian languages, do we have silent letters? For example, in place of kabutar, do you say butar? I saw butar yesterday. No. People will take you to the hospital. Right? But in English, it is normal, it is natural. And right from the very beginning, you know that. You randomly take any word, a little longish word, and definitely there will be some silent letters. Right? For example, yeah. N-A-M-E. Do you say name or neme? What do you say? Name. So E is silent. It's so common actually. Now you think, if you think of it, almost 90% words will have silent letters. Right? So in this word it is received. P is silent. Next is, okay, Right hand side column, if you are not able to pronounce, I can understand because these are slightly not so common words. So military coup, then ennui. Ennui is a French word actually used in English. Does anyone know French? From teachers, anyone? No? Once I went to a training program and I asked students, does anyone know French? Said English and Vada and French. Okay, I understand. But your next target should be a foreign language. English is not a foreign language, by the way. According to the Constitution of India, English is an associate language. It is not a foreign language. So I would strongly recommend learning a true foreign language in the future, right? Next is facade. Then ninth is a very interesting word. Do you know there is a place called Mudi, a small village Mudi? Yeah. So once I went to a school in Mudi and I was just playing with kids. So I wrote some words on the screen, and one of them was this. So I said, "What is it?" Now, young students, standard 5, 6. One of them said, "Champagni." That's a very creative way to look at language. It is champagne, right? Anyway, the next is
Fantastic.
next takeaway for you. Put your heart and soul into what you speak. If I say, my name is Dharmendra Sheth, I am very happy to be here. I am going to teach you something. What will happen after 2 minutes? What will happen? So how would you say this word?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Once again?
Fantastic.
Yeah. If somebody goes home and parents ask him, how was the session today? How will you say?
It was fantastic.
Put your heart and soul into everything that you speak. Right? Respect the word. You respect human beings, right? You respect your teachers, parents. You respect the language as well. So respect the word. Every word has its own personality. I guess you are an image consultant, right? She's an image consultant. She can tell you how your personality, your behavior, how important it is. So every word is important. For example, when you say fantastic, so it has to be spoken with that feeling, right? And people generally go by the way you speak. For example, you experiment with some children in your family. Take a book or take something and tell that child, "Abo boring se tum aaj nahi." And that child would actually read because that person has not listened to your word but understood the way of speaking, right? The tone, right? If I say, I need to use my body language, so I am putting it in my pocket. So if I say, India is a big country, it has some problems. Is it acceptable? No. It should be India is a big country. So that is what I mean by respecting the word. Right? Next please. Now the moment you change the stress, the meaning changes. For example, the first one, here, I think the number is missing somewhere. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, it is not missing, it is hiding actually, it's here. So the first sentence is, I never said. Somebody else might have said, but I never said. Second, I never said. Who told you? Third, I never said. I just wrote it somewhere. Right? And next one, I never said she stole my money. I said he stole my money, not she. The next, I never said she stole my money. She just took it without asking me. Right? I never said she stole my money. It was somebody's money. And I never said she stole my money. It was my wallet. So the moment you change the stress, the entire meaning changes. Right? Next, please. Respond to this.
Yes.
Next, please. Now, this one word spoken in different ways can communicate different messages. How many letters are there? 3 letters. Let's see the next slide. And I want you to tell me how to speak, how to communicate. The first one is here. Using these 3 letters, Y, E and S, you have to convey this message. First one, how will you say? Suppose somebody asks you, are you a student? You will say yes. So when you say yes, your voice, the pitch of your voice falls down. Yes. Fine? So it indicates finality. You are right. Second, suppose I ask you, is he intelligent? Sadiq, right? If I ask you, is Sadiq intelligent? Because he is your friend, you will not say no, and you don't want to say yes. Right? So what will you say in between? Yes. Right? Maybe. Third, suppose somebody comes and waits at the door, that person doesn't enter, he just stays there. What do we say? Yes. So when we say yes, our pitch of the voice goes up. It's a question. Right? Yes. Next, suppose somebody, if I continue speaking for 2 hours, 3 hours, and if I give you some another takeaway, you say, yes, it's enough. Now go home and let us also go home. So that is irritation. Here, if I tell you, is English an important language? Yes, it's so important. So yes, rise and then fall. Do you see the difference? Right? And if you interchange, the message is distorted. If I ask you, are you a student? And if you say, yes, what does it mean? Or yes? And 6, when you won something, you achieved something, you got 90% marks, your team has won a medal. Yes! That power. Right? And suppose somebody asks you, are you a student? Will you say that? They will send you to a doctor or a hospital nearby. Baroli, I think, there is a famous place. I don't know whether it is still active in Baroli. Yeah. Okay. What is the lesson? The pitch of your voice conveys a meaning. The way you change the pitch of your voice. Inside your home or college school environment, you are very safe. Your teachers don't get angry when you make a mistake in your tone. But in the corporate life, if you utter a sentence wrongly, it might cost you your career. It might cost you your promotion. Right? So your language plays an extremely important role in the workplace. Next, please. Loudly. I think it is a little difficult for you to read, so we can skip this, but the point is, after your college study is over, when you go for a job, you have to face an interview. And sometimes you just speak, say 10 I think, wait a minute. I think I can do something about it. Just give me a minute. Thank you. Okay. I want you to have a look at it because this is so important. You go somewhere, you are asked to introduce yourself. That's the most common question. Please say something about you. And the moment you say something like this, you are going to be in trouble. So what do I want you to do? I want you to find out errors. Can you find out errors in this? If you have a piece of paper, you can write it down quickly. I give you 5 minutes and then we'll discuss. This is an extremely important activity for your speech. I just want you to identify errors. Okay? We can work in pairs as well. Sit. Okay. Even if you haven't finished the whole thing, that's okay. But let me draw your attention to some of the features of language which are so important. And one thing which doesn't work in English communication in corporates is chal hai. Chal hai is a Gujarati disease when it comes to language study. Sometimes I tell even teachers, my colleagues and my friends, I tell them to speak like this, not this. They will say chal hai. Why chal hai? In most other situations, when you go to buy a shirt or a dress, if there is a defect, will you say chal hai? No, you will not buy it. If you have some problem, neurological problem, you go to the operation, you go inside the operation theater, the doctor opens your skull and he says, I'm not sure whether to cut this vein or this vein. Will you say chal hai kapila ho koi bhi? You will kick the doctor and run out of it, right? So in most situations in life, you do not accept chal hai. Then why in language? Right? Even if it is your mother tongue. In I come from Surat, I'm sure you know that. Yeah? Many of you might come from Surat. In Surat, we have multiple problems because of chal hai. In my neighborhood, there was a new family, and for the first couple of days, I didn't understand half of their communication. I am Pakka Surti Gujarati. I understand Gujarati, all kinds of Gujarati, including adjectives. And my neighbor, he also used Gujarati, the entire family. But half of it I didn't understand. In the morning, every time the wife will shout at the top of her voice and scold the husband. For 7-8 days, I didn't understand anything. Then I took help of my home minister. I asked my wife, how do you communicate with them? Do you understand everything? She said, yes, I understand. So what she was saying, actually shouting every morning, was washing machine ma kapada nakhi de. Wine ma kapda lagi de. So original standard Gujarati શું છે becomes શું છે one level down, and then who છે two levels down, right? Chal hai maybe inside your home, that too is a questionable thing nowadays. Children are so intelligent these days, so they will correct you. So no chal hai, right? If a person goes for an interview, this kind of English, he will not get a job anywhere. And believe me, people have lost, they haven't, forget about losing a job, they haven't got a job because of just a sentence wrongly spoken. I was at the British Council, and the English Studies manager of British Council once shared an incident. One of the teachers was to be recruited there for their centers. And at the time of an interview, a person with an extremely good command of language, literature and everything fine, he was asked a question, according to you, what is the standard of English in Gujarat? Because he was from Gujarat. So he was asked this question, according to you, what is the standard of English in Gujarat? And he answered like this, according to me, the standard of English is very poor in Gujarat. And just because of that one statement, he was not selected. Because according to is always used for others' opinions, not our own opinion. According to the latest news, according to my teacher, right? According to this book, the Bible, the Quran, the Gita. So according to is for others' opinions, not for our own. For our own opinion, we say in my view, in my opinion, to my mind. Right? There are many other ways. So sometimes a sentence can spoil your career. Sometimes a word. I remember in L&T, earlier in those days, we used to send applications like handwritten. We fold it and put it in an envelope, and then we will post that. That was the tradition earlier. So out of 190 envelopes were not opened. They were just thrown into the dustbin. I am talking about a real life situation in L&T. Why did it happen? Because on the envelope, many people, engineers, they write to the personal manager, Personnal. And in no company in the world there is any personal manager. What they have is personnel. Personnel. Personnel is related to staff. So personal, personnel, they are totally different. Written differently, spoken differently. Right? So just because of a word, just a simple word, a gold medalist may be in the dustbin. Right? So outside the campus, outside this academic campus, the world is ruthless. You have to be competent, strong, powerful, otherwise you'll be thrown out. Right? So let's take some of the items very quickly. First problem, myself is never used at the beginning. When you introduce yourself, never ever say myself. Because myself is a reflexive pronoun. It is used only when there is an I in it. I wrote it myself. I killed him myself. So I and then myself is used. Or I myself wrote it. Emphasize. So when you introduce, what do you say? My name is, or I am. And when you are on the phone, you can say this is. Right? Mr., Miss and Mrs. and Doctor, such titles are not used for ourselves when we speak. Right? We just say my name is Mukesh. Titles are for others to use. Second line, serious language problem, the present perfect continuous tense problem if you know some grammar. I am working, not possible. I have been working. Past to present continuity. And since is not possible here, but for 6 years. So these are some simple grammar errors. I am speaking now. I am teaching now. But I have been teaching for an hour. Past to present. You are learning now. But you have been learning for an hour. So simple thing, right? So like that, if we see, there are so many problems. Next slide, I will show you the number of, or the errors actually. Next slide. How many errors, by the way? Any number? How many errors have you spotted? 2, 3, 5, 7. Any other number? 8. Okay, next slide please. There were 17 errors in 7 lines. How do you get a job? Right? No chal hai in this case. You see problems with tense, problems with phrases, spelling error also. And not boss but bosses. Apostrophe S. Then practice with SE in British English. You practice something. This is a noun. Then every day, for example, I'm sure teachers, they come here every day. So every day, 2 words. And this everyday 1 word is an adjective. For example, this noise, that's an everyday problem. So everyday is different from every day. Right? Cannot. Cannot is never written as 2 words. May not possible, might not possible, right? Should not possible, but can and not possible. You can ask me why. It's English, it's English. There is no logic at all. Cannot is always written as either 1 word without any space or the contracted form. Can't. Right? Is there any intelligence required to understand such things? No intelligence, just hard work. You just learn it and remember it, practice it, memorize it. There is no secret. Right? And you spend time on something. I want you to spend time on English. Right? Could is not used for a specific event in the past. We always say was able to. Yesterday I was able to write 5 essays. This morning I was able to come here in half an hour. Right? Could is for your general ability in the past. When I was a child, I could run fast. Simple. Then look forward to is always followed by the ing form. In fact, when you write your application for a job, then the last line should always be I look forward to getting an interview call, or I look forward to getting a positive response. Look forward to plus ing. Remember that when you write an application. Okay, look forward to plus ing always. Right? And elder is not used for comparing ages. We use older. Right? Next please. Okay, now What is the title of today's session? Somebody was once asking me what material to use to study. And I always tell them, you don't need any material. For example, if the presentation doesn't work somehow, does it mean that I will not be able to continue this session? I can. I can use any material, right? For example, let's take the title. What is the title of today's program? I want you to tell each other what the title is. Tell each other what the title is. You have to speak. Some people are very smart. No, you have to speak. Okay, anyone? The one wearing spectacles? Please speak, yeah? Once again, please. Yes, thank you. One wearing spectacles in the middle there. Yeah? Yes. The one with spectacles there, yeah? It's easy to identify, that's why I'm finding. Very good. One more, without spectacles now, for a change. Okay, thank you. Now let's go to the next slide and we'll try to learn how to speak each item properly. Next please. This is the title, right? Some of them who did not speak earlier, please try once. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. The very first word is, do you see these two dots? When you look up in a dictionary and when you find two dots like this, that means that sound is long. In English, long and short, these two sounds are different. They mean different things. For example, those shoes don't fit in my feet. Right? So fit and feet are different. Open the lid. And he's a leader. So lid and lead are different. Right? Please sit down, SIT, and take a seat. Different. So long, suppose somebody says, I don't want to live in this world. Then I say, leave this world. Right? If you don't want to live in this world, leave this world. So live and leave are different. In this word, this is, our title has the word speak. Right? And if you don't speak as speak, and if you speak it like, if you say speak, speak, then this is an extremely offensive word in English. It's a very negative word in English. If you are in the US or Canada and if you use this word, somebody might cause a problem for you. It's an extremely negative word. And who says that? Next slide please. This is from Cambridge Dictionary, online dictionary, you can check it. So if you use a short sound, it is a very offensive word. It's a negative word, right? So now you can understand that your speech is so important, right? You may not want to insult anyone, but because of your mistake, the other person might feel insulted, right? Currently, I am working with some IT companies and I talk to people who are in the US. So they always complain that Indian employees, they speak very rudely. So I try to convince them that Indian employees are not rude, but they are not familiar with the way of speaking that English demands. For example, an Indian speaker might tell their counterpart in the US, his counterpart, send it to me by the end of the day. Now, send it to me by the end of the day is called an imperative sentence. Those who study some bits of grammar, they might know. Imperative, agnartha vakya. Right? For example, open the door. If I tell him open the door, he might complain to the police. If not to the police, to the principal. Because this is a very offensive statement. It is not a good statement. Open the door is not used in real life communication. I have to make it polite. Right? In fact, the very basic difference between your communication on this academic campus and your communication outside in the real world is politeness. Namrata thi bolbo. Politeness. It's so important. Right? So here, wait a minute. What was the example sentence I was giving? Open the door. Right? If I want to make it polite, what should I say? I have to add some word before or at the end. Please open the door, or open the door please. Then he might say, okay, let me try. If I want to make it more polite, I can say, can you open the door please? If I want to make it more polite, I can say, will you open the door please? If I want to make it still more polite, I can say, would you open the door please? If I want to make it still further polite, I can say, could you open the door please? If I want to make it still further polite, language has its own limitations, right? So politeness is extremely important. So no negative words like this, even by mistake. Let me give you a slightly offensive but very common example from Indian languages, from Indian speakers. Teachers, please keep your ears shut. I am talking to students only, don't listen. Very often Indian speakers, they use the word backside. In the backside of my house there is a garden. Now that's a very stupid sentence because backside is a part of your body that you sit on. So what should you use? In the back of my house, in the back of my car, in the back of the auditorium. So not backside. Stop using such words. There are hundreds of such examples. So Indian speakers use them, but they don't know that there is something not good, right? In academia, in our field, many teachers, they use worksheet. Shit. Now shit is a very negative word. It should be worksheet. So sheet and shit. Right? So very important. Everything is important in language, in speech. So next please. So the first word was speak. Second word is smart. Now smart in British English, it does not have r sound. In standard British variety of English, if you have listened to me carefully so far, you might have heard a lot of words where I do not use the sound r. More, far. My car is in the car park. So r is not spoken in standard British variety unless it is followed by a vowel sound. Right? We'll talk about that later on. So for example, the word is R-E-D. What do we say? Red. There we don't say my favorite color is red. R is silent. No. There R is spoken because the next sound is a vowel sound. Right? So smart. The next word is, what's the word? Yeah. Anyone? Anyone from that side? Spectacles. Yeah, speak this word. Okay, fine, thank you. Now remember, for all international communication, three sounds in English and very easy to remember. Ka, pa, ta in Gujarati are not in the same way in English. In Gujarati we have ka, pa, ta. In English we have kha. The second sound in Gujarati actually. Right? There is a kind of air that comes out of your mouth when you speak. Kha. It is called aspiration, the aspirated sound. Kha. So, can you speak after me? Kha. Pa. Pocket. Kha. Copy. Capital. Compromise. Captain. Right? So, what's the word? Campus. Yeah, very nice. Now, do you hear the difference? Once again, campus. A little louder. કોઈ ફરિયાદ કરવા નથી આવવાનું ને અહીંયાથી. Then shout campus. If you want to be a confident speaker, then you must be ready to make mistakes confidently. Right? So try a little louder. Campus. Have you noticed two things? One, this is a game changer in your real life communication. This one particular mark on the top, can you see this vertical mark? In a dictionary, wherever you see this vertical mark, the immediate syllable after that is spoken loudly. It is louder, longer, stronger, more forceful, right? That is called word stress. So this word it has two parts, cam and pus. So out of two, only one is spoken loudly. Which one? The first one. How do you say? Campus. Campus. Now whether you know it or not intuitively, let me check. I am going to give you a spelling of a word and you have to tell me the word. Okay, you have to speak that word. Don't write, just try to remember the spelling. INFORMATION. Yes, anyone?
Information.
Speak.
Information.
How many parts are there? In, for, it's not for. May, shun. 4 parts. Now remember one thing, in English, whenever a word has more than one syllable, it may have 2, 3, 4, 5, any. It is never ever the case that all the syllables are equal. It is impossible in English, which is normal in Indian languages. For example, in Indian languages, when you say kabutar, kabutara, they are all equal. In English, it is never ever the case. So out of 4, only one is spoken loudly. There has to be a king in every English word. So for example, if I speak this word in 4 different ways and you tell me which one is normal, okay, according to international standard. So if I stress the first syllable, it will become information. If I stress the second syllable, information. If I stress the third, information. If I stress the fourth, information. Which one is normal? I'll repeat. If I stress the first one, information. Second, information. Third, information. And fourth, information. The third one. You know that. You have that intuitive knowledge. Right? We just have to bring it in your speech. Now let me give you a rule. To pronounce almost 10,000 words correctly, just by one rule. You want that rule? One rule and more than 10,000 words you will be able to speak correctly. That rule is before tion, shun, you know shun? When you convert a verb into a noun, very often you add tion, right? So whenever you form a noun from a verb using tion, the word stress is always the second last. So before shun, whatever comes is spoken loudly. So in our case, it was shun is here, and before shun we have may. So information. Can you speak after me? Information. Information. Now you think about any word. Go from verb to noun using tion. Yeah, any word.
Communication.
Communication. Then
Invocation.
information. Any other?
Invocation. Invocation.
Invocation. Invocation. Invoke. Why? Because stress is on K, so previous part becomes a. Then a little louder. Education. Convocation. Inauguration.
Innovation.
Innovation. Inner. Because way becomes stress, so before that it becomes a. That's a universal rule in English. Innovation. Anyone? Can you give 5 words to your partners? Just share TION words with your partners. Loudly speak. Because I need to have water. Okay. So have you shared the words? Yeah? 1, 2, and 3. So middle column, speak one word. Everyone will speak a little louder. And stress the syllable before shun. Examination. थोड़ी होशियारी मारवी. Right? Yeah. A little louder. Can you speak after me? Imagination. Imagination. Try to work on your sir, sure. Sir is different from sure. Suppose somebody makes a lot of noise, so you can say shh. So that is sure. Machine. Yeah, next please. I think we should have a special session for sure. Okay? Sure. We don't have a board here, but I can explain it very easily. If you have a problem with sure, or if you have some friend like this, and if you want to help, it's very easy. You just tell them what I am showing you. For example, this is your upper teeth. Okay, upper teeth. Upper teeth. This one. And this is your tongue. This is your tongue. Okay, and this is your upper teeth. So if you keep your tongue touching your upper teeth, you will have the sound sir, as in same, 6, 7, that is sir. Okay. Now if you keep your tip of the tongue slightly inside behind your teeth, where there is some bony part, you can feel that. If you keep your tip of the tongue on your teeth, and when you keep it slightly inside, you will feel some bony part there. If you don't feel that, consult a doctor. Okay. But there has to be that bony part, and then if you speak, it is sh. Outside sir and slightly inside sh. Right? Sh. Machine. Right? So practice at home. While going home also you can try sh. Washing machine, like that. Yeah? Next please. Definition. Okay. The next.
Humiliation.
Jubilation.
Humiliation.
Humiliation. Next. I can't hear the word. Presentation. Yeah. Have you got the point? Before shun, whatever comes, you have to speak loudly. Right? Next, please. Now, TO is often spoken as T. In weak forms, it is spoken as T. I want to buy a pen. I want to buy a pen. No, I want to buy a pen. So T, not to. Right? That TOO has another meaning. Next, please. This we have seen. Career and carrier, they are different. Career, I am worried about my career. Next, please. And this word, communication. Communication. Can you speak after me? Communication.
Communication.
In Surat, we have wonderful khamar. I don't know whether we have in Navsari or not. Khamar. Do you know kha? That kha is used in stressed positions in English. Communication.
Communication.
And as I said earlier, thodi hoshyari marvi. If you want to speak proper English, you will have to shake off your inhibition, your fear. Pelo ho ke hai, peli ho ke hai. No, don't bother about that. If you know how to speak it, then speak it. Let the world go to hell. Next. Next, please. Yeah. So, what is the lesson actually? Who is this person? Of course, not me. Yeah, of course, not me. More than 400 years ago, this gentleman, he gave us this particular sentence. Mend means improve, repair, make it better. So mend your speech a little, lest means rakhene, awo gayi jai. So lest it may ma means to make something bad, to spoil your fortune. That means 400 years ago Shakespeare gave this statement in a play King Lear. When I think any literature students, have you studied this King Lear? No? You can read it later on. A very interesting play. So in King Lear, the father king, he tells the youngest daughter, Cordelia, mend your speech a little, lest it may mar your fortune. That means if you do not take care of your speech, you may be in trouble. Your future is in danger. The same applies to us. If we do not pay attention to our speech, our career may be in trouble. Right? Next, please. And as I said at the beginning, people begin to judge you the moment you open your mouth to speak. It is impossible to control it. The moment you speak, people will start making judgments about you. You cannot control it. What you can control is what is with you, your organ, right? Your organ of speech. Next, please. Yeah. So now we are marching towards the end of the presentation. In fact, and in the sense, there are more than 50 slides, I guess, but we won't be able to cover everything because I want to take some questions also. So what is the basic difference? Your academic campus, this kind of life here, and the life in the corporate sector when you go in the workplace. So what's the basic difference? Next slide, please. The basic difference is the stakes are high. For example, here, if you make a mistake, somebody may laugh, the teacher may scold you, right? The stakes are not very high. Nobody is going to remember it forever, right? Even you will forget after, say, half an hour. But in the corporate sector, in the workplace, people remember everything that you say because stakes are very high. And let me give you an example. This is about speaking, but even in writing, just because of a mistake of a comma, $1 million case was in the court of law. $1 million were involved. You can Google it later and find out that case. And after some years, there was another case, again based on that comma problem, and $5 million were involved. If somebody says chal hai, right? So stakes are very high, very important. Next, please. And the obvious differences are in style. For example, in the campus, when you talk to your friends, it is informal, very friendly. But in the workplace, it is formal. Even if you don't like, you will have to behave in a formal way, speak in a formal way. When you go to a director's meeting, you will have to use formal language. Right? There you can't immediately, stop, I want to say. You can't say like that. They will kick you out. Then you have to use a very polite kind of saying. Might I make a suggestion? Or could I say something about it? Could I add to this? Right? Formal. Then focus is academic here, marks, etc. Whereas here, in the workplace, the focus is always, underlined, bold and italics. Client. Currently, my training program is going on in L&T, that they work with more than 30 countries. The focus is the client, right? If there is a problem between an employee and a client, they will give more importance to the client. The employee may have to suffer because it is always client-centered, because they are giving you business, right? Demand is, for example, here in this area, if you don't speak a single word, that's okay. Nobody is going to force you. The teacher might prompt you, but after that, the teacher will give up. If you want to speak, speak. It is your life, right? So there, the demand is very low. Whereas in the workplace, the demand is very, very high. You have to speak. You have to present your views. Otherwise, you will be thrown out. 20% employees in the IT sector right now, they are sitting on the bench. Do you know that? In India, 20% employees are sitting on the bench. On the bench means they will be given salary for only 6 months. After that, goodbye. And these 20% people are lucky that at least they have some money for 6 months. And in between, there is some department who needs their services, they will be re-employed. So they are called on the bench. 20% employees are right now. And in many companies, there are no benches. They will just say, "Kalti nahi aata." That's it. The situation is extremely bad. You cannot imagine the situation. Just last week it happened. Last week in a company, in an IT company, out of 700, 300 employees were forced to resign. They were given a pink slip. No choice, because ultimately clients, if there are no clients, how will they pay you? You don't have government jobs. In the workplace, government jobs are very few now. So either you increase your competence or be thrown out of the system. Then approach is self-centered. You decide what you want to do in the academic environment. You decide whether to speak or not, or what to speak, how to speak. Whereas here it is always result-oriented. Efficiency. Do you know this word? Efficiency. What does it mean? It means getting desired result. If you apply somewhere and if you get an interview call, your application is efficient. If you face an interview and if you get a job letter, your interview skills are efficient. So efficiency in terms of result. People want result. When I submit a proposal, if I don't get any reply, that means my proposal has failed. It is not efficient. So result is at the core in the workplace. Next please. So in a nutshell, if we want to see the difference between campus and career, and the difference is in the campus, inside your academic situation, you want to show your knowledge, and teachers, they want to test your knowledge, right? So that is the benchmark. Whereas here, you deliver value to that organization. Your promotion is based on how much you contributed. Have you added value to the organization? That is going to decide. Okay, so we take a pause for a few minutes. I want you to discuss amongst yourselves. Okay, make pairs or groups. Groups means how many people are in a group? Only three. One means individual, two means a pair, three means a group, four onwards terrorists. So keep only three, either two or three. Discuss amongst yourselves what we have learned today, what we have discussed today, and every pair or group will ask me a question, a relevant question. Okay? Now your time for 5 minutes. Anyone? Gujarati, Hindi, English, it doesn't matter. Yes, anyone? Yes? I hope you discussed the contents. Yes? Don't think so much. Anyone can ask any question.
Is accent important in spoken English?
The question is accent important in spoken English? When we were coming here, on the way, oh, just a minute. मैं તમને કીધું ને હોશિયારી થોડી મારવી તો મગ પર જરાક મારી લો ને. I usually keep it with me because sometimes, when we go for a program, in some companies, they keep it so cold. And I'm not accustomed to facing that kind of cold, environment situation. So I always keep a coat with me, which I wear if it is required. And in a place like this where it is not required, at least towards the end of the program, I put it on so that pictures are good. Yeah. Anyway, so is accent important? As I was saying, while I was coming here, on the way we met somebody who was selling some fruit. So I talked with him for a few minutes. He used a typical local Bihari dialect, right, Hindi. And then on the way, I listened to a speech in Hindi by Amitabh Bachchan. Now, if I have to invite somebody as a guest, who would I invite? That person or Amitabh Bachchan? Yeah? Speech is an index of your personality. Your success, whatever people might say in the world, people might say accent is not important, pronunciation is not important, this and that. Everything in language is important. Spellings are important, pronunciations are important, meanings are important, the way you speak is everything is important. And the key, for example, by the way, I spoke my first sentence in English at the age of 23. Till that I had no English at all. I studied in not even Gujarati medium. It was Pakka Surti medium. I studied in, after my birth, the first language I heard was Marathi. My mother is from Maharashtra. Then I was transported to Surat. So then I heard Surti. And people around me, they used Hindi, Urdu mix kind of thing. And in school, Madrasa Muhammadiyya Pipadiwala, we had a mixed kind of environment. So actually when people ask me, what's your mother tongue? I say, I have a confused tongue. I don't have a mother tongue. And I studied via Surti medium, schooling and college and everything in Pakka Surti. And then when I entered industry, for the first time I had to use the English language. So at the age of 22 or 3 probably, I spoke my first sentence in English. And then I spoke like the everyone else used here, copy and like that. But when I realized that it is not copy, it is copy, then I started paying attention to it. And then I realized when I spoke better than others, I got more, what should I say, more importance. People listened to me. They valued my opinion just because of the accent. And my focus was intelligibility. When I was in the US, there were people from 40, 50 countries, and we all were teachers of English. We all communicated with each other without an interpreter. Why? Because they used a particular kind of English, standard English. I also used the same. So we were able to communicate effectively without any problem, without any miscommunication. So accent is not for style, it is not to show off, it is not to belittle somebody, but to make your language easily comprehensible. And that term is called intelligibility. And to acquire that intelligibility, you will have to shake off your inhibition. શરમ થોડી કાઢી નાખવી પડે. હું તો ગીતા છું, મારાથી આમ કેમ બોલાય? No. You have to acquire a different kind of personality. When I speak in Gujarati, I speak Pakka Gujarati or Surti even. It depends on the environment. But when I have to speak in, for example, in symbiosis, when I go, all learned people around me, there I cannot use my Surti information. No, that doesn't work there. There I have to use proper English. So accent is for your personal and professional growth. And because I am trying to speak the way it is spoken, I am more able to understand authentic speakers, great minds in the world. Right? For example, Stephen Fry. If you listen to Stephen Fry or David Crystal or David Attenborough or Richard Attenborough, such people, great speakers. If you don't try to speak, you will not be able to understand them. Right? So try to acquire as much command of language as possible. And speech is primary. I am again telling you, you cannot improve a single skill in isolation. You will have to work on everything. Because your speech will require grammar, your speech will require vocabulary. You may not use Sashi Tharurian kind of language. For example, if you say, how is the weather? You can say it's good. You don't have to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And people will start scratching their head. So use the language which is appropriate, suitable for a situation in proper accent. What accent to use, it is up to you, British, American, but any educated variety of English. Any other question, please? Anyone? Last question, quickly, before our principal arrives. Come on, anyone? Any question? Yes, please. Thank you. From? Oh, thank you for asking that question. Her question was, is it okay to learn English from movies or series? Absolutely perfect. Why not? In fact, you learn real life language from you learn good quality English from real life language only. I'm a big fan of movies and series. I watch everything. I listen to a lot of songs in English. So use. In fact, series and other things, even reading. Basically, series is what? The visual audio presentation of a book, in a way. So either you read novels, if you don't like reading, watch series, watch movies. Who stops you? But be selective. Because there are so many series where they don't use standard English. They use local language. For example, in Gujarati movie, for example, every Gujarati movie will not have standard Gujarati. In fact, I remember old Gujarati movies, Veer Hai Balwado and Veer, that entire series in Gujarati. Now they use the locals dialect used in Saurashtra. So many movies are like that. Peaky Blinder, for example. So there you will not understand 90% of language, though it is English. So that type of movie is not required. But good, authentic, standard movies and series. Downton Abbey, for example, if you are interested. So find out some good movies. If you want, I can recommend some movies. If you have a WhatsApp group, I can send some messages later on. The Day they robbed the Bank of England. Amazing movie. The Day They Robbed the Bank of England. The title itself is so promising. The Day They Robbed the Bank of England. Wonderful movie. Standard English. Peter O'Toole was the hero in that, the main actor. Recently I watched a movie, Finding Forrester. That might interest you. It's about the academic situation, Finding Forrester. It's a good one, American, but good one. Yeah. Any other question? Yes, please. Have you heard the question? What do you think about Gen Z language? I am from Shashi Tharoor's era, so I don't know much about it. In fact, my children, my daughter, sometimes when she speaks, I don't understand. So when they don't want me to understand, they use that language. But you know, the problem is, there is an effect called Lindy effect. Do you know about that? The Lindy effect. It's a philosophical concept which says that something which has lasted a long time, it is likely to last still further. That is called the Lindy effect. So in language, what happens? It's like some new actors and some new songs, they come and go. They do not last longer. But some of them, say 10% of it, that stays. And that becomes a part of authentic language. Right? So our target in academic field, we want to learn whatever is the common, the core, something which is, for example, that Shakespeare's quotation, mend your speech a little lest it may mar your fortune. Now 400 years ago he used that. Even today people use it. That means it has some value. So from that new language, some of the words, they may, like skibidi, certain things might be a part of permanent language. But my knowledge about that is very limited, extremely limited. By the way, if you have some knowledge about that, you can share it via WhatsApp to me. Any other question, please? Very often I have to use ChatGPT. When somebody sends me a message, some young student, and I don't understand, so I have to use ChatGPT. I say, what does this person mean actually? And then I understand. Any other question? Anyone? I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but you have some kind of hesitation. As I said, you can ask in Gujarati, Hindi, no problem. If language is the problem. Otherwise, in English, fine. Are you calling the principal? No. Are you calling? Forward to your questions via WhatsApp, and if possible, we might meet sometime in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Sadiq.